Okay. Chapter 13, The Wirtschaftswunder, Post-World War II Recovery and the German Economic Miracle. This economic miracle was achieved with the rapid reconstruction and development of the West German economy and Austria after World War II. There was rampant inflation before the replacement of the Reichsmark with the Deutschmark, which in 1948 became the legal tender in Germany, and the shilling in Austria. Mama told me that she had set up an account at the bank for me, saving every penny. Apparently, I was worth 1,000 Reichsmark, but after the change, pardon the pun, I was worth only change 10 Deutschmark. Erhard advised to cut taxes sharply on moderate incomes. Walter Heller, a young economist with the U.S. occupation forces, who was later to become chairman of the Council of Economic Advisers under J.F. Kennedy, wrote in 1949, "To remove the repressive effect of extremely high interest rates, Military Government Law No. 64 cut a wide swath across the German tax system at the time of the currency reform. Individual tax rates in particular fell drastically. Previously, the tax rate on any income over 6,000 Deutschmark had been 95%. After tax reform, this 95% applied only to annual incomes of 250,000 Deutschmarks. For the West German with an annual income of 2,400 Deutschmarks in 1950, the marginal tax rate fell from 85% to 18%. More like it. From this point on, a lasting era of low inflation and rapid industrial growth was overseen by the German government. Konrad Adenauer was chancellor at the time. Ludwig Erhard, Minister of Economics, went down in history as the father of the West German economic miracle. In Austria, the same labor practices led to a similar outcome. Productivity growth in West Germany brought most workers a significant improvement in living standards. As real incomes rose, public authorities were encouraged to raise funds from taxation and through borrowing to speed up the rate of investment and current spending in projects which are partially immediately productive and partly conducive to the creation of the good life. Statistics show that West Germany had spent sums on hospitals, libraries, schools, theaters, railway stations, subways, airports, museums, and socially aided housing projects, and more. Since there was no army before, there was little war spending. However, there had been physical barriers to overcome, and there were also intellectual challenges. For having waged a war, there was a price to be paid. The Allies confiscated intellectual property of great value, all German patents at home and abroad, to strengthen their own industrial competitiveness by licensing to Allied companies. Immediately after Germany's surrender, for the next 2 years, the US pursued a vigorous program of looting technological and technical expertise as well as all German patents. It is said that they were plundered by the US and the UK. The war reparations to be paid this way amounted to nearly 10 billion US dollars. and new research was unprotected for the next 2 years. It was available to all overseas competitors, as the occupation authorities had access to all records and facilities. The Allied dismantling of the West German coal and steel industries at the Potsdam Conference was virtually completed by 1950. Equipment had been removed from 706 manufacturing plants, and steel production capacity had been reduced by 6,700,000 tons. Although the industrially important Saarland, with its rich coal fields, was returned to West Germany in 1957, it remained economically integrated in a custom union with France till 1959, and France extracted coal till 1981. Thus, our briquettes and coal supply was rationed. Scientists and thousands of the best German researchers and engineers were working in the US as well as in the Soviet Union. Then, US President Harry Truman introduced the Marshall Plan to every European country to help them get back up on their feet, except to West Germany. After it was realized that the other countries' economies were held back by the suppression of Germany, the Marshall Plan was granted to it as well, mostly in monetary loans of roughly 1.4 billion US dollars. It was overshadowed by Germany having had to pay war reparations and about $2.4 billion US dollars annually for the ongoing cost of the American occupation. Then, in 1953, it was decided that only the sum of 1.1 billion of the aid should be repaid. The last payment was in June 1971. Due to the Korean War, there was a world shortage of goods. This situation helped Germany, as the US had been very reluctant to import products from Germany, which was able to produce lots of goods. It had an adequate labor force due to the influx of over 1 million Germans deported from the East, as well as many Gastarbeiter, guest workers, from other countries like Greece, Turkey, Italy, etc. My cousin Claudia later married a Sicilian guest worker who learned to speak the Schwaben dialect like a local. This helped Germany to double its productivity in long hours and hard work to pay off its reparation. From the late 1950s, Germany had one of the world's strongest economies. Unemployment hit a record low of under 1%.